Well, yesterday we had a session on the use of genetics more in a global situation and the potential for it to contribute to prevention of cancer and early detection of cancer. So I was talking really about the gap in what we know about the causes of cancer. There have been some reports recently that talk about 4 out of 10 cancers we can't attribute to specific causes, and so I was really trying to say how genetics can perhaps give us indications of what the remaining 6 out of the 10 cancers might be caused by. So I was talking about some, really the explosion in genetics that's happened over the last couple of years and that will continue to happen. That includes very large studies of cancer genetics for different cancers. That includes basically an increase in our knowledge of the genetics of all sorts of exposures. Things like why we smoke, why we drink or why we don't drink alcohol, why we weigh so much or so little, or the levels of particular vitamins in our bodies, how these are often controlled very much by genetics, and how we can use that information to perhaps inform us about specific causes of cancer. And so it's a new way of trying to identify causes of cancer above what we've been doing for the last 30 or 40 years. So some of the data I presented yesterday, for example, was looking at something that we know that causes cancer. It's obesity. We think it causes about 4 or 5% of the cancer burden. And I was showing some data that if you look at it from a genetic viewpoint, if you look at genes that are associated with obesity and you relate them to specific cancers, the evidence is quite different to if you look at traditional epidemiology studies where you look at someone's weight, someone's measured weight at one point in time. And the genetics is telling us that perhaps the effect of obesity is a lot greater. So we've been making a big underestimate of the effect of obesity for many cancers. In fact, for nearly all cancers, there's only 2 cancers for where the data appear to be a little bit different. One of them is for breast cancer, where the genetics tends to indicate that it might not be obesity per se that is causing cancer, and it might be more weight gain throughout adulthood. And the other is a cancer for which we hadn't really linked with obesity before, but it's lung cancer. And the genetic information is really indicating that obesity has an important relationship on whether someone smokes or not, and if they smoke, how much they smoke, and whether they can quit or not. And so obesity seems to be really having influence in smoking patterns and could even be considered as a genuine cause of lung cancer as well. So part of the data I was presenting yesterday was trying to give this overview that we really need to reevaluate the extent to which obesity is causing cancer, and it's possible that we're going to have to upgrade the evaluation of obesity with respect to the burden of cases that are being caused by obesity. But it's not really, this isn't really associated with treatment. As I said at the beginning, our goal isn't really to understand treatment-related outcomes of cancer. It's really to inform new causes of cancer. And as I think we are going to find an awful lot more new causes based on this type of data, like with obesity. We're seeing now an emerging amount of evidence related to diabetes and cancer. When you look at genes that cause diabetes or cause raised insulin levels, these genes also tend to now to be causing specific cancers. So this is really quite persuasive evidence that diabetes or high insulin levels are associated with quite a number of cancers. So it's providing an important link between one very common important chronic disease, that's diabetes, and several other cancers. And this is data that is new. This is evidence that is new. And I think as we just understand more about the genetics of all sorts of diseases, all sorts of conditions, linking that information with cancer is going to give us a far greater understanding of the causes of different cancers. So I guess, as I said at the beginning, we understand what's causing 4 out of 10 cancers. In 5 or 10 years' time, I think that's going to be a lot more. So obviously we're working with groups like CR UK, who funded a lot of this work, with WCRF, who implement a lot of this information and who come up with evaluations of the causes of cancer. So we're engaging with them, we're trying to engage with them more, we're trying to get them to fund us to do more of this, so hopefully that they'll see the value of this. And yeah, but absolutely, we see a very direct kind of implementation of this kind of evidence into prevention. Yeah, one would hope, obviously, as has been said before, we're not going to treat our way out of the cancer problem. So a lot of it is going to rely on cancer prevention, on early detection of cancer, as well as kind of optimized treatment as well. So there's definitely an important place for this in cancer prevention.